If I look at the recent reports, there are 80 to 100 million creators right now in India.
The influencer actually depicts the product, he compares the product, he talks about the features.
One has to be careful to connect with the influencers who are little neutral, little selective about talking about the brand so that message looks authentic.
We should also give a little bit of creative freedom to the influencers.
One TV ad cannot break the clutter. Collaboration with one influencer is not sufficient.
Yeah.
The engagement actually is a testimony of the success.
I always feel that marketers should keep in mind that every marketing channel has a shelf life.
Today, 90 to 95% of YouTube consumption happens from tier 3, 4, 5.
YouTube is the world's second largest search engine, owned by the world's first largest search engine. Google owns the YouTube. So whether people are going on Google or on YouTube.
Right.
So it's a complementing each other in a way.
Right.
And that's the reality.
Let's move on to segment 2, where I will have a word or a question for a quick response from you.
Yeah.
So let's start with the first thing, Harsh. What would be your 2 advice to marketeers wanting to use influencer marketing?
So first and foremost, they definitely should look for an influencer who is authentic, and that they can get to know that influencer is not doing so many brand deals that will dilute the message. The second thing the influencer should be aligned with their product or area, because what happens that audience trust an influencer when they consider that influencer as an expert in something.
Right.
And when the influencer has an audience, he is impactful for the brand also. And when he is considered trustworthy among the audience, definitely the message will have more power. So these are the kind of things they should look.
Your advice?
Yeah, so I think understand the platform very well. Which platform you want to use your influencer. It should not happen that somebody is not popular in Facebook or Insta, doesn't have this thing, but because he's a good name in YouTube, you're using him. So do your research. I think understand which platform requires which influencers. And also it is very important to see which language or tonality the influencer is using. Many consumers want benefit-oriented experience or advisory, but normally what happens, you get feature-related tips and advices. I think it's important to understand the language the consumer would like to understand.
Yeah.
I would like to add one more point. The way one newspaper ad, the way one TV ad cannot break the clutter, collaboration with one influencer is not sufficient, because there's so much marketing noise on social media. So definitely marketers should think about a portfolio of influencers and try to communicate their message in different formats. For example, podcast could be one format, and communicating through a comedy skit could be another format. They should think about different ways to pass on their message, because definitely the audience are getting much information coming to them.
Actually, a good combination of using influencer from different platforms builds your effective reach for the brand, rather than piling up everything in one
It's like
platform.
the promotion one would do. You wouldn't just do ads. You would do lot of other things.
Exactly.
So that wherever your audience is sitting,
because now you have influencers in all the platforms.
Absolutely.
Right. So you need to pick up the right set basis the platform demand. Yeah.
Traditional advertising, your take?
Traditional advertising is important for mass connect, but it's slowly turning into a good to have from must have.
And an expensive one.
That's why I told it's no more a must have, it's good to have for brands. The shift is moving towards digital very, very fast.
I would like to add one point. Definitely traditional money is moving from traditional advertising to these digital platforms and influencer marketing, but still traditional advertising is important, because let's say I have to do some local campaign where a local billboard matters, where a local radio channel matters, where the information in the local newspaper matters, because I'm targeting the local audience. Traditional advertising is still valuable. Also, traditional advertising channels have some credibility that they have built up over the decades. So when an advertisement is coming on those kind of TV channels, those kind of newspaper, it has some impact, because those channels have some credibility that influencers are slowly building up. So they have their importance.
Still will stay at least for some time.
It obviously would stay important for mass connect, But again, how far, how frequently, that brand needs to understand. Deeper
More
the pockets,
options now.
more options you have. Yeah.
And it also depends on where your audience are.
Right.
If I'm targeting the youth, which is most of the time is on
Digital,
social media,
yeah,
they are not
yeah.
reading newspaper, but
Yeah.
they are consuming news through Twitter.
Yeah.
Then I have to focus, so I have to look at my audience.
Absolutely.
I have to be there where my audience are. If my
Absolutely.
audience are still on the traditional advertising platforms, I have
I
to be
need to
there.
be
If
there.
my
Yeah.
audience have moved on, I also have to move.
And something very interesting, I'm just taking again a feather from what he's saying. The receptiveness of medium is very important. Today there are many regions which only believe in out of home, right? But again, in out of home, you need to understand the rule. When does it become a blind spot? You see a hoarding for 1 day, 2 days, 7
Yeah,
days.
yeah.
After 10 days, suddenly it may become a blind spot for
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Even you do a radio or a cinema drives affinity.
Yeah.
But how long?
Yeah.
So a quick burst for 7, 8 days
Yeah.
is always good than those long
Long drawn,
campaigns.
yeah.
I think that's one of the strategy. If you have less in your wallet, but you still want to tap up your mass audience.
Skill sets needed for marketeers to be good in influencer marketing.
Skill sets, I would say, you need to be able to distinguish the right and the wrong influencers. Today in YouTube, you go through, you would see many self-created influencers.
Okay.
Yes. So there is a lot of a chance that your brand reputation may get affected if you select the wrong influencer. So do a deep dive research,
The
in
research
finding
again.
who are genuine, who are not genuine. So you need to do your exercises very professionally on that, because otherwise your brand equity may go
Don't
for...
want to dilute that.
Yes. Who are the right ones, who are the correct ones, and who are the true ones also. That's the third layer.
I will talk about a couple of skills. One is definitely they have to prepare a right concept note. It's not that influencer will take care of everything. So the right information has to be transferred to the influencer the way it used to be get transferred to the advertising agency in terms of the consumer insight and other kind of information. Second, they have to have very good relationship building skills, because brands need constant connection with their audience.
Right.
It means they need a constant media communication happening, and these influencers are today becoming media channels. Right? So if there is a long-term association with a creator, there is a trust between the brand manager and the influencer, the outcome becomes much better. So they have to have that kind of relationship building skills. Third thing is that they should be able to understand the contract, how the contracts are created between the influencers and the brand managers, because things are constantly changing, new platforms coming, new regulations coming. So those things have to be put in contract properly. They should have those kind of skills. Then they should be able to understand the data which is coming out of campaigns, even their campaigns on others' campaigns, so that then they can evaluate the performance of the investment that they have done.
Right. So Goldie, I think for us things are becoming tougher, huh? And with another OTT channel also over there,
Yes.
becoming more and more complex.
Yes, I think we need to, there are a lot of data which is now available to marketeers where they can understand the target audience consumption pattern, right? Which media works better in South, which works in North, which is the top OTT channel, how much time they are consuming in each of the channel. So you have analytics and data for that. So I think that's the only source, I think, to make it more scientific as an approach, to be right 9 out of 10 times. Yeah.
Which platform
Yeah.
you would advise for influencer marketing? Or
so-
your go-to platform?
So this is again very subjective, and out of my experience, I would say in the last 2 decades, I think YouTube still is the #1 video content consumption platform. And there is a surprising, there's a very interesting number. Today, 90 to 95% of YouTube consumption happens from tier 3, 4, 5. So all the mass consumption happens in YouTube. And today also, I have seen many a times in different streets also, people listen to songs through YouTube also. They like to watch a song, not exactly listen. So I think it has a different thrill. You hear a song while it is being, in a video format. So YouTube cuts across all the genres, I would say, as the #1 OTT platform. And in the meta platform space, I think Instagram has become extremely important. It is more lifestyleish, and you can have your CTAs also very clearly measured, and you can do a lot of your brand lifts also to understand the effectiveness. So I think these two are top 2 platforms.
I'm actually seeing people search on YouTube than even go to Google.
Yes,
Which
yes.
is an interesting change.
And very interesting, Nandini, I would like to tell you, you do any campaign in YouTube, if you want to do a roadblock or you want to do any kind of a sustenance or a targeted campaign, you would see your Google scores would have a positive fillip right next day. That's the power of YouTube.
So the interesting point that I would like to add is that YouTube is the world's second largest search engine, owned by the world's first largest search engine. Google owns the YouTube.
Exactly.
So whether people are going on Google or on YouTube,
Right.
So it's a complementing each other
Yeah,
in a way,
right.
and that's the reality.
Right.
That's the
right.
reality.
But what platform would you suggest?
I would say that the choice of platform is mostly based on the kind of industry that one belongs to and the kind of audience they have. Definitely YouTube will work everywhere because everybody loves video and every kind of information storytelling can be done best in the video format. But Instagram is more visual friendly. So when if a brand is into like say food, fashion, cosmetic that needs more visual appeal and all, Instagram is a better choice. But if somebody is talking about thought leadership, B2B,
Probably LinkedIn.
Then LinkedIn
Right.
comes into picture.
Right.
And what happens that same person can be on both the platform as an audience on Instagram and LinkedIn, but the mindset is different. When I'm going on LinkedIn, I'm going for professional advice, looking at career aspects. My mindset is different. When I go on Instagram, I'm more in entertainment consumption mindset. So same brand, if it has to communicate different kind of messages, both the platforms will have different impact.
No, and you might have the same message, but you'll have to rehash the content to
Yes.
fit
Yeah.
the audience and the platform need.
Yes,
That's
you know the sad reality is you actually have to choose platform, from every genre to have the best of output. Like if you want to target a person who's doing a lot of financial transactions, you can't miss the phone pays and the Paytm, right?
Right,
If you
right.
want to target the news aggregators, a daily hunt works well, and also way to news for South. So I think the ideal scenario is that. But if you have one or two mediums to choose, I think lifestyle, yes, as rightly told, Instagram, and for a mass appeal, mass target, I think YouTube. That's how.
So you have a lot of influencer partnerships. One essential thing for it to be successful.
So I think many a times what happens is the brands have certain expectations, and whereas the real output which comes in, it comes out largely different. So I think again marrying expectations versus reality, it's very, very important. That's where I would again go back to the old book of chart out your objectives, chart out your alignment, a documented alignment of what is the outcome, what is the narrative you're having with the influencer, so that most of the time the outcome is positive, and the
Right.
outcome is also controlled in the right way, right? You can't have different expectations and suddenly what comes out you're not happy with. So I think expectation versus reality, that marriage
Match has to
needs
be
to happen before the
properly.
collaboration starts. And it's a relationship building, right? I think mutual trust, transparency is very important.
Which actually is for any marketing. I mean, have your objectives
Yes.
very clear. What are you
Yes.
wanting to get at the end of the campaign? Spell it out and move towards
Many a
it.
times the basics are very important to be executed also. If it is done right, I think you don't have to reinvent the wheel again.
I think Goldee's point is important in one way or another, because when there is a lot of noise around influencer marketing, many marketers start thinking that it's a magic wand. It will give them the outcome. And many marketers may not be able to understand the new things which are happening on social media platforms. Algorithms are changing, new features are coming. Definitely today youngsters are more aware about changes in social media platforms as compared to a very experienced marketer. So sometimes expectation mismatch can happen because either few things will be taken for granted from the side of marketer that they know better, but at the same time they might say that you didn't understand what will be the outcome of the campaign would be. So that's why both the parties have to come together, and the experienced marketers have to learn that how things are changing so that the expectations are rightly set.
Very true, very true.
Agree.
You have mega influencers also. So tell me one challenge one faces with having mega influencers.
Mega influencers, they are very important. But again, from a brand perspective, I think if you have the monies, go for them. every
They're
time,
celebrities, huh?
yes, every brand every time may not have the right moolah to hire mega influencers. They are very important for mass connect, building trust and loyalty for the brand. Yes, and micro I think are very important if you want, if objective is your engagement. If you want a deeper connect engagement with the target audience, I think micro influencers would work better in a short term.
So
That's
before I
what
come
have
to you,
seen.
Harsh, mega or micro, what would you choose?
So again, I would like to summarize it: a mega for building trust and brand equity or loyalty, I would say. A micro influencer if you want a quick impact and a better engagement with your consumers. Yeah.
One challenge with mega influencers.
The thing is that they have become definitely mega influencers because audience love them, but when they become mega influencers, it becomes difficult for them to keep on interacting with their audience in the same way they used to interact with them earlier, and because of which the personal bond that was built between the influencer and the audience may get diluted, and because of which their impact, and what I have been seeing in the reports and the outcomes of the marketing campaigns and all, the outcome which is coming from the micro influencers is much better because the trust level there is higher. The relatability of the audience with the micro influencer is still higher because definitely they are not in that much kind of limelight, they are not doing that kind of brand deals, they are not coming into that much media. So mega influencers are somewhere moving towards the traditional celebrities like film stars and cricketers that audience understand get paid for doing the brand campaigns and all. But still micro influencers, people look that there is some authenticity is there, so the trust level varies.
And also one thing, Harsh, I think mega influencers have a time constraint also.
Okay.
I think we should not forget
Okay.
that for brands, turnaround time is very important. By virtue of they being popular, they stay busy. So I think time kam hota, they have less time. So you have to be very, very pre-planned in your approach.
And one thing I have seen with many mega influencers with whom I have interacted through my book or through other ways and means, that they have a team around them. So what happens that because there is a team around them, they take care of many areas. So for example, when that influencer was doing something at small scale, he was able to create video through his own mobile, edit them, everything
Now
he was
this
doing.
become fancy, nice.
Yeah.
So now he has to take care of his creativity, and then there is a separate video editor, there is a separate guy who will take care of the contracts, there will be a separate guy who will take care of the lighting, costumes, everything. And when that kind of thing happens, they also get their free mind to interact with audience if they want. All those kind of things come into picture.
Right. Tell me a misconception about influencer marketing.
One misconception is definitely is that it's a magic wand, that it will solve every marketing problem, which is not the case. And what has happened is that today marketers have started thinking that having an influencer is a differentiation. Because so many D2C brands are coming with similar kind of benefits, similar kind of features, and hiring different kind of influencers who have the reach. But then the consumer insight that used to be there, the effort that used to go in coming up with those kind of things may get diluted if it has not got diluted, because marketers are thinking that influencers will solve the problem because they have the audience. But that's not the case. And one more thing, as I said earlier also, that because there are so many influencers available on social media platforms, it's looked like that influencer marketing is very easy. But because there are so many influencers, there is so much competition from other brands who are also using these influencers, it is getting tougher day by day.
I think it is a very complex landscape,
Yes.
and you need all the help, including the agencies, like you said,
Yes.
to work with you.
So one common misconception, and I think it's not fair to them, I would say, is many people think influencer marketing is ineffective because it's all about bots and fake
Okay.
consumer followers,
Right.
which is not true. Many feel that the followers who are there, these are all fake followers and there are bots, they are driven by bots. You know, this is a very common myth that have been going in, by virtue of which people feel it's not effective. But I think that's not the fact. I think these are certain misconceptions. That's the biggest which is going in, that it's all fake and bot driven, which is not true. I would like to use this platform to say this because we have seen significant success, and it's not what certain misconceptions are being spread about fake. Yeah.
So, any one or two tips for a micro or nano influencer that you could?
So I think it's very important for a micro or a nano influencer to understand the product or the brand they are endorsing. Many a times, by virtue of their personality, they may go all out, but when they talk about product, they may not sound as convincing. They should have done homework about the industry and the ecosystem in which the product or service is getting launched. So that's very important. And it is very important to speak benefit-driven language rather than feature-driven language.
Couldn't agree more.
That's how consumers would trust you more and come back to you more on that. And third is be your own self. I think everybody is blessed with their own style. So if
That's
you're
why
honest,
they are influencers.
if you're honest, you will always have a captive followers always with you.
I would say micro influencers should focus on becoming known for something. It's not about the brand, it's about the brand with a positioning. So, because when as an influencer, as a personal brand, they have a positioning, they are known for something, audience will listen to them, and brands would, even if they have, let's say, 10,000 followers, but if audience listen to them because they are expert in particular field, brands will be interested in collaborating with them. And for becoming that kind of expert, they have to continue their learning in their specific area. They have to go deeper and deeper in that area that they should keep in mind. And another thing that they should keep in mind is that audience comes first, brands come second. Because
we are hearing that, huh?
yeah. So any brand that they are
This is
talking,
so true also, no?
Yeah. No, which is their reason for existence.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, so and it's very complex
Yeah.
thing for them, because when brands are coming to them, money is coming to them,
Yeah.
which is important for sustenance.
Yeah.
But brands are coming to them only because they have audience.
Exactly.
So they cannot compromise audience trust at any cost. So they have to be very careful that they don't have to talk about a product which is not good for their audience, because trust is fragile.
Agree.
Difficult to build, easy to break. So
Who better than us to know that? But tell me finally, Harsh, share with all of us example of one influencer marketing campaign which in your mind was really effective, and what were the metrics for measuring?
Sure. So I can talk about influencer marketing campaign that happened in collaboration of Healthify Me with Kavita's Kitchen, one of the brands I covered in my book. Healthify Me reached out to Kavita's Kitchen to create healthy recipes. And the idea was to create one video to achieve certain kind of views and certain kind of downloads. But here the collaboration happened in a better manner because brand also listened to what creator had to say. So they listened to Kavita's Kitchen that they should not focus on just one video, rather they should focus on a 360-degree campaign that would have a couple of videos and few things coming together. They should not focus on a time frame of November to January, rather than they should focus on the New Year resolution, which go well with the December. And when that campaign ran out, the brand got, the multiple videos got more than 10 million views, and the app got thousands of downloads. So this is one of the examples of I would consider as a successful campaign, because brand listened to what creator had to say, the outcome became better than what the brand was expecting earlier, and the collaboration became fruitful.
It actually talks about what you said, that the influencer needs to understand the brand,
Yes.
get into that research, align with it,
Yes.
and maybe even advise the brand on how to make or do what they are planning to do more effectively, not just be a bystander.
Right.
Agreed.
Makes it. Anything you want to add?
I think what I would, since this is the ending note, I think, Nandini, one very, very important thing is, since this whole discussion we have covered so many aspects of influencer marketing. One appeal to all the influencers, you are responsible for consumers going for a purchase decision, a buying decision. So always be fair, give the right judgment, and call a spade always as much as possible, because you are the custodians and consumers repose a lot of faith and trust on you. So be fair to their trust, and from a brand perspective, I think allow influencers to express themselves freely, to give a judgment in all fairness and in all transparency. I think if these two situations, which I am sure is happening, more and more it happens, the collaboration becomes fruitful and beneficial not only for the brand, the influencer, but finally we all work for, which is the consumers. I think that's what I think ideal scenario we should be seeing.
No, thank you very much, Goldee. Harsh, I think we have covered so much, and there is just so much of insights that you both have shared. I'm sure this is going to be very useful for marketers like you and me. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much,
Nandini.
Nandini,
Thank you.
for having us. Thanks.
I hope our discussion on some of the nuances of influencer marketing will get you thinking on how you could tap into the vast potential of the creator economy, especially considering that the cost of influencer marketing is lower than traditional advertising and it has better reach. The key for brands lies in aligning with the influencer's brand positioning, as that ensures credibility and strengthens the connection with the influencer's audience. Likewise, for the influencer, their content too needs to be credible for them to continue to retain the trust of their followers, and I'm sure that they too give careful thought before partnering a brand. After all, authenticity reigns supreme. Feel free to share in the comments which influencers resonate most with you and why, as in the next episode, Harsh and I are going to be joined by an influencer. Thanks for watching, and until then, stay inspired. Thank you.